We have spent the last 3 or so generations wrapping our kids in bubble wrap, and now we're completely shocked that they can't handle the cold. Every kid gets a trophy, every feeling gets validated, every sharp edge gets sanded down before anybody gets hurt. And then life shows up, and life does not care. Jonathan Haidt, in his book, The Coddling of the American Mind, makes the case that kids are not fragile, rather, they're anti fragile. And what he means is that, unlike a china cup that breaks when you drop it, our kids get stronger when we drop them, metaphorically speaking. The best thing we can do for them is let them experience some adversity, and teaching them this early is a gift to them, because life is going to be hard. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud anymore. Hard doesn't go away. You don't outgrow it. You don't outsmart it. You don't opt out of it. The bad news, everything in life is hard. The good news, you get to pick your hard. You get to choose which version you're going to live with. Don't kid yourself into thinking that life can be easy. For most of us, that is just not true. And we don't help the next generation by keeping this from them. Once we really understand that, and I mean really get it, like down at the gut level, it changes how you make every decision, because you stop asking, how do I avoid the hard thing, since you can't, and you start asking, how will I choose my hard today? Let me walk you through some examples. Most of these apply directly to my life, and I bet they'll resonate with many of you too. The gym. This one has been very difficult for me over the years. You get to choose. Will you endure the hard of getting up early, showing up consistently, grinding through workouts when every part of you is looking for a reason to quit? That's hard. Nobody's pretending it isn't. Or you can choose the hard of living in a body that's slowly failing you, the fatigue, the health risks, the quiet weight of knowing exactly what you've been avoiding and exactly how long you've been avoiding it, and the hard of not being comfortable with your shirt off at the beach. You don't escape hard by staying on the couch. You just mail the bill to your future self. And your future self did not get a vote. That's the thing it took me a long time to learn. It's always your current self that makes every decision, and it's your future self that has to live with them. Now, do you want to be kind to your future self? This is another one, of course, that's close to my heart since I'm the small business professor and I teach at a university. Now, let's understand, I'm not saying a degree is the right path for everyone. It absolutely is not. But whatever credential, whatever skill, whatever gap you've been meaning to close, university or some other way, not closing that has a cost, a real one. It compounds quietly in the background, year after year. The hard of getting the education costs you time, money, sometimes years doing things that range from tedious to brutal. You miss parties, and you have to study instead of watching that big game. But it's also hard spending your life in a career being passed over, or that you hate, underpaid, locked out of rooms you wanted to be in. That gap doesn't close itself. It just sits there, taxing you every single year. And then one day you look in the mirror, horrified, as you consider the person that you could have become if you had chosen a different hard. Choosing the early hard is almost always the best path. Here's another one that's close to my heart, since I play keyboards in a rock band. Learning an instrument. If you want to play guitar, drums, the flute, or the piano, really play, I mean, you're signing up for years of sounding a little bit terrible before you sound passable, and then a little bit more sounding passable before you sound good. You're taking on a commitment to daily practice that feels pointless and repetitive at the beginning, and honestly, kind of humiliating at times. As a side note, when I started playing piano at open mics and jams, a friend pulled me aside and said to me, "Brad, if you're going to play music in front of others, you have to be prepared to look like an idiot from time to time." Thanks, Lee. And that's hard. But there's another hard. You know that feeling when you watch someone sit down at a piano and just play? And there's this hollow ache because you always meant to learn. You coulda, you shoulda, and you woulda. In fact, you've been meaning to, or gonna be for 20 years. And you're no closer than the day you first thought about it. That ache is its own kind of hard, low grade, permanent. And this version of hard doesn't come with anything to show for it. No skill, no music, no groupies or adulation. Just the gap between who you are and who you are meant to become. Which burden would you rather carry? Okay, so now this one definitely does not include me, despite my childhood dream of playing center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm talking about elite athletes. They do not stumble into elite. Nobody wakes up one day and suddenly becomes world class at something. They have to put in those proverbial 10,000 hours. They choose years of brutal training, relentless sacrifice, giving up what everyone around them took for granted. And they did all of that with the very real possibility that it might not pan out. Most people look at that life and they think it sounds insane. But what about the person who never found out what they were capable of? Who always had a good reason, a reasonable reason, not to fully commit to anything? That's not a peaceful life. That's a slow bleed, quiet and directionless. No podium at the end. No story worth telling. Here's what all of these have in common. The hard you choose today, the early alarm, the degree, the risk, the daily practice, is finite, contained. It costs you something, and in return, you build something. You become something. The hard you avoid doesn't disappear. It compounds. It waits. It shows up later when you're older, more tired, and running out of runway to make different choices. Sometimes we're so determined to protect people from discomfort, from failure, from frustration, from the experience of trying and coming up short, that we forget something. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the curriculum. In a way, it's your friend. The ability to choose your hard, deliberately, clearly, and with your eyes open, while the choice is still yours to make, is a gift. And the best gift we can give our children is the knowledge that life will be hard, the grit to be able to endure it, and the comfort that they get to choose their hard, if they do it early enough. Because the alternative isn't an easy life, not in the long run. Easy always has a price, which has a heart of its own. And it's one you don't even get to choose.